Good morning. It's McCollum on Business. I'm Stephen McCollum, and for the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to get you updated on what's happening around the business world. Of course, the Iran war and the oil prices dominate the market right now. We do have an update here on oil, at least in terms of maybe getting some more out into that marketplace. Drive down those costs coming up for you here in just a little bit. Of course, we look at the market watch. Stocks we're paying attention to right now, local and national stories. And folks, the overlords of McDonald's, boy, have they got a deal for you coming up. We'll talk about later on in the show as well. With all that being said, let's get right into that market watch. Well, as you know, it's been a tough couple weeks here as well, and everything's kind of bouncing back as well today. However, some of these indexes are going to end and finish the week on a losing streak. For instance, the S&P 500, it's headed for a third straight losing week. I mean, it would have to have a huge monumental day here, record-breaking day, in order to not have the third straight losing week there. You see, everything's up here this morning. Market's been open for about 30 minutes. Dow Jones up 214 points right now to 46,948, and I mean, that's 3,000 down from that 50,000 level it was trading at just a few weeks ago. S&P 500 is up 33 points today to 6712. Right now, Nasdaq's up 130 points, 22,442. That small cap index, the Russell 2K, well, it's up 13 points right now to 2504 for that. And then Bitcoin, a big rally here, I guess you could say, for Bitcoin, up 4% today. 73,382. Later on, when we look at the market watch, we're going to look at the stocks tied to cryptocurrency, stocks like Strategy, Coinbase, Mara Holdings. That's later on in the show because of this big swing here, as Bitcoin's above 70,000 here today and up to that 73,000 as we speak right now. Stocks we're paying attention to this morning, Adobe. You know, the software company. We use them a lot around here for production stuff and things. Well, they're down 5.17% here in early market trading. In pre-market, they were down over 8% as well. Their CEO came out, and he's been CEO since 2007. He said that he would step down from his post after a successor has actually been named. He will remain as chair of the company's board, though, moving forward. The news, obviously, anytime you have a head person change, it overshadowed the first quarter results, which did beat on the revenue and on the earnings per share line earlier today. So Adobe, new boss coming in for them here when a successor is named. Next up, let's go beauty supplies here and look at Ulta Beauty as well. Well, they're down today as well, 9.15% here in early market trading. They reported weak earnings results for their fourth quarter. Ulta posted earnings of $8.01 per share. Yeah, the analysts wanted $8.03, so just a 2-cent miss there in terms of the earnings per share. Their revenue came in at $3.90 billion, which actually came ahead of the $3.80 billion expected. But Ulta, way down today, 9.19%, because the market's viewing that as a weak earnings result from this company and taking it pretty hard here on the stock market this morning. And then there's a company that makes continuous glucose monitoring devices. That is Insulet out there. We're going to look at this stock now. They're down today as well, 3.62%. And kind of a double thing here. One, their stock is down. This 3.58 right now as it's changing on us. But also, just a heads up here, if you use these products out there, Insulet is recalling certain batches of their Omnipod 5 pods. They said that some batches have a small tear in the internal tubing that can result in patients not receiving the intended dosage of your insulin. Several users have been hospitalized. No deaths have been reported as of now. The issue is strictly limited to specific lots. Other Omnipod 5 products do remain safe to use, according to the company. Obviously not good news on the business side, 3.70% down right now. But also, heads up, if you're using these products or know somebody that needs these products, get on their website, check those lot numbers, and obviously stop using and get a newer model out there, a new different lot number out there for this company here. if you need to use those Omnipod 5 pods. I told you later on we're going to come back and look at crypto stocks, strategy, Coinbase, Mara Holdings. It's just interesting to see crypto, right? Bitcoin have such a big growth here. We don't see this too often these days. So let's check in with those stocks as well coming up. But first, right, let's get you set up here. The GDP report came out this morning, and economic growth was slower than expected. Not a little bit, by a lot. This is, of course, we're talking about the final 3 months of 2025 because they revised those numbers there. Core inflation did rise to start 2026. Of course, this all comes from the Commerce Department and this reporting. So the GDP, right, the gross domestic product, you know that it's the measure of goods and services produced across the U.S. economy. Well, it did rise at a seasonably and inflation adjusted annual rate of just 0.7% in the fourth quarter. The first revision of the GDP reading was a sharp step down from the previous estimate of 1.4%, well below the estimate of 1.5% in that market. It also marked a considerable slowdown for the 4.4% gain in the prior period for the GDP. For the full year, GDP posted a 2.1% increase, one tenth of a percentage point lower than the previous reading. If you look all the way back to 2024 now, the economy rose at a 2.8% pace in that year. So we're talking percentage points, but those are big numbers. The downward revision does come due to adjustments in consumer and government spending and exports. A decline in imports, which does subtract from GDP, if you didn't know that. It also was less than the previous estimate. Those numbers, that's why they revised it downward here. On the inflation side, readings for January were mostly in line with estimates, though they did show price increases running well ahead of where the Federal Reserve would like. Obviously, they want that at that 2%. We saw the consumer report earlier this week as well. So, not a shocker. Now, these numbers are all looking backwards. Obviously, what's happened here over the last couple of weeks in Iran has thrown all those numbers just out of whack here. And our next reporting next month is going to look completely opposite of what these numbers look like here coming up because of this war. So just keep that in mind. We're looking backwards here with a kind of a stable economy right now out there and until this month, right? So speaking of the war over there and what it's doing to the markets, by the way, oil yesterday, well, they settled around $100 a barrel and kind of just hovered there. Dropped down to 98 at times, but $100, let's just say, is about where it's trading at. And in the U.S., well, they now temporarily removed sanctions on Russian oil that's currently stranded at sea. Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent did announce this late on Thursday. And of course, this is a big move here, and it's a move by the Trump administration because they're trying to ease soaring energy prices amid this war with Iran. Bessent did write on a post on X, that social media platform owned by Elon Musk, that the narrowly tailored measures, he put it, will not provide significant financial benefit to the Russian government. These exemptions will be in place until April 11th, according to the Treasury Department. The 400 million barrels that were going to be released by the IEA just didn't lower prices that much, if at all. This action, of course, in easing these Russian oil tensions, well, it comes almost a week after the administration did lift restrictions allowing India to buy Russian oil for 30 days at that time. So we're pretty much doing anything to try to get these oil prices in line and in production here as well, and get these prices down there. So, we look a lot about companies leaving California and moving to Florida and Texas, etc. But what about homeowners there? Well, a new hotspot has emerged for home buyers looking to leave California. And I find this interesting. Yes, folks, it's Reno, Nevada, not Las Vegas, which was hot there for a while. But Reno is drawing larger and larger, becoming a larger and larger metro area within Nevada because of the amount of people looking to move there. Reno is the second largest metropolitan area in the state of Nevada. It's actually surpassed Las Vegas, which is Nevada's largest city, as a more attractive destination for those Californians looking to move across the border. Look, if you live in Sacramento, even the Bay Area, just a couple hour drives over to Reno. Now you have to worry about snow and shutting down the freeway there and stuff, but not that far of a move there from that Northern California area as well. We get all this from Realtor.com. They had an analysis of housing data by Realtor.com found that in 2025, almost 43% of views of online listings in the Reno area, well, it came from people within California metropolitan areas. The Realtor.com did say that that was the highest share in the history of data series, leading back all the way to 2019. So then, if you want to compare that to Las Vegas area, about 25% of the views of Las Vegas listings came from California metros. That's a decrease of 27%, which was the highest number back in 2023. In 2025, Reno brought in more prospective home buyers from locations throughout California, more than any, and then the shoppers, you know, people in Reno weren't shopping at that level in Reno. It was all coming from California as well. The Reno people looking for houses, etc., they only accounted for about 30% of listing views. So the people looking into Reno is bigger than the people living in Reno looking to find places. Homes listed in Las Vegas had 38% of their views come from within the Las Vegas metro area, and it surpassed those from shoppers in California by more than 12%. So the littlest biggest city or whatever, Reno, the biggest little city in the world. I should just look at the screen there. I was trying to remember off the top of my head. Reno, Nevada, the newest hotspot there for Californians to move over into as of now. The now, lawsuits galore are happening out there, and I've talked about State Farm a lot here, and I'm kind of dealing with this right now with a roof here. The wind and rain blew a roof off, and State Farm denied the claim, and we're doing what we need to do. I haven't filed a lawsuit, but we're going through the Division of Insurance here in Arizona, and I've told you all along, State Farm and quite frankly, a lot of insurance companies right now, they're just doing whatever they can to get out of paying claims, no matter how much you pay in to them as well. And now there's a lawsuit filed in state court in Oklahoma that lays out a pervasive statewide fraudulent scheme, is what they call it, by which State Farm aimed to cut costs through, quote, bad faith claims handling tactics that are rigged against the insured, unquote. I'm behind this lawsuit 100% because I firmly believe they're doing this as somebody that does deal with State Farm quite regularly on things. According to the lawsuit here in Oklahoma, the company, State Farm, developed a Hill Focus initiative. It basically, they're saying they secretly narrowed the definition of hail damage to reduce the amount of full roof replacements covered by State Farm. Here's the quote from the lawsuit. State Farm uses this definition to dictate whether an insured is entitled to payment under the policy upon which filing a valid wind and or hailstorm claim, yet it can be found nowhere in the policy, unquote, the lawsuit says. The alleged hidden policy essentially creates a reality where homeowners' insurance claims are denied even before they are filed. Quote, this decision reflects simple greed, maximizing profits for State Farm at the expense of the insured. That's what the lawsuit continued to say. Law firms here in Oklahoma. Now, the story goes on about one person going through these trials and tribulations. But then NBC News asked out there, and law firms in Oklahoma, they said there's more than 600 homeowners in Oklahoma have similar lawsuits pending against State Farm. State Farm is the number one property insurer there in Oklahoma. Legal filings denied by, State Farm in legal filings denied any wrongdoing, calling the initiative, quote, an effort State Farm first undertook in 2020 to improve the accuracy, quality, and consistency of wind hail claims handling and to address both overpayment and underpayment of claims, unquote. Folks, State Farm and several of these insurance companies are doing whatever it takes because they don't think you're going to fight back to deny your claims. In a statement to NBC News, State Farm said that, quote, over the past 2 years, State Farm has paid more than $1 billion to Oklahoma customers for wind and hail damage to their homes and property, unquote. But how many of those were underpaid? So the story that started this out here was they had hail damage. State Farm admitted they had hail damage, but they deemed it a minor hail damage thing. Meanwhile, they had holes in their roof and stuff to that effect. So they didn't pay him as much. So they had to go out of pocket $22,000 to replace the house. Dealing with the same thing here with wind and rain damage. State Farm denied it with some bullcrap claim of, oh, the roof was already damaged, even though it wasn't. And so they denied the claim. So you have to go out of pocket on it. And then you have to file it with a division of insurance. And then you have to, if that doesn't work, you have to go through a lawsuit, which obviously 600 people in Oklahoma are doing it as well. These insurance companies, folks, are just trying to be greedy. I agree with this lawsuit 100% based off of my own relationship with State Farm. Oklahoma Attorney General, his name's Drummond, excuse me, Gender Drummond. He filed a motion to intervene in the first case here, writing Oklahomans can weather inflation and Oklahoma storms, but they cannot withstand a system in which they are charged more while effectively insured less. Yeah. And the judges, their State Farm's fighting him getting involved because technically the state's attorney general does not oversee the insurance companies. There's a division of insurance that does it. It's at the Oklahoma State Supreme Court right now to see if he can stay in that lawsuit out there. But folks, these insurance companies, watch yourselves because they'll gladly raise your prices 50% over the last 2 years and then not pay out on them when you have something major happen out there and leave you holding the bag, especially with roofs right now. That is definitely the case. And it's happening here in Arizona. I've experienced it myself with one of my properties out there. And these insurance companies need to be reined in by the government or somebody out there, whether it be lawsuits or not. So, hey, if you use Google Maps, well, you're going to see some big changes here coming up. And Google Maps is going to depend more heavily on artificial intelligence moving forward. That's all to help people figure out where they want to go and the best way to get there. Yes, this was a major redesign unveiled yesterday. The overhaul is driven by Google's Gemini technology. That's their AI company. It's going to introduce two AI features. It's going to have a digital mapping service also used by more than 2 billion people worldwide. One tool is going to be called Ask Maps. It's going to expand upon the conversational abilities that Google brought to the service last November. I've never used that service. I'm going to tell you where I want to go, Google Maps, and you just tell me how to get there with traffic. Giving suggestions to users looking for things such as nearby places to charge their devices, cafes with short lines, or a detailed itinerary for a road trip involving several stops and excursions. Gemini's recommendations will draw upon a database spanning more than 300 million places and even reviews from more than 500 million contributors that have been accumulated since Google Maps' debut more than 20 years ago. Google executives declined to answer the big question. That question was whether the company eventually plans to sell ads to boost businesses' chances of being displayed in Ask Mask recommendations. Yeah, once you start getting advertisement dollars, doesn't that take away the autonomy of this, and it just goes to favoritism of ads? Ask Maps initially will be available on Google Maps mobile app for iPhones and Android software in the U.S. And India were the first two to try it out. Then it'll expand, of course, to personal computers in other countries after that time. Now, Google executives touted this, and they're billing it as the biggest change to the Maps driving directions. But Gemini's also created a new tool dubbed Immersive Navigation. It's going to present a three-dimensional perspective designed to give users a better grasp of where they are at any moment in time. Because you can't look out a window and see where you are, apparently. These 3D renderings created by Gemini will include landmarks, things as notable buildings, medians in the roads, and other aspects of the terrain that drivers are seeing around them as they drive to help them get their bearings more quickly. Yeah, folks. Hey, look, there's the White House. Somebody confirmed with Google Maps that that's the White House. Apparently, it's a function people want. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Hey, let's do a follow up here on that Live Nation Ticketmaster. We told you before the Department of Justice has settled this without breaking up the company. A lot of people are upset about that. Even the states, several states, there are 2 dozen states who are also in this lawsuit. Some are interested in settling, others want to keep it going, including here in Arizona. Now, they some messages, internal messages, let's put it that way, with Live Nation have been unsealed by the judge here in this case here from the DOJ and Live Nation. Yeah, and these internal messages from employees of Live Nation are just damning on what they think of you, the consumer out there. Yes. One internal member has an employee mocking customers. He said their employers are, quote, so stupid, unquote. And he says that the company is, quote, robbing them blind, baby, unquote. These are in emails, folks, from regional directors at the time. One of them's a huge executive now at Live Nation. They've been made public as 2 dozen states are weighing whether to, all these messages are, whether to continue their antitrust trial against Live Nation and Ticketmaster. Hope the states keep going on it as well. I told you that. We have WWE tonight, SmackDown. 4 tickets. I don't remember what the tickets were, but you know what I remember about the purchase? Bought 4 tickets. I had to buy technically 5 tickets because the fees to Ticketmaster were just as much as 1 ticket out there. It is ridiculous. The messages from late 2021 and through early 2023 on the platform Slack here for used by these internal messagings. They were highlighted late Wednesday in a filing by government lawyers released to the public court record. The lawyers insist the messages should be evidence in the weeks-old trial in Manhattan federal court against Live Nation and Ticketmaster, and the states are trying to make sure they can use these messages for their individual lawsuits as well. At that trial that was ongoing, that has now been settled, right? Lawyers for the federal government in 39 states and D.C., they say Live Nation and Ticketmaster were, their words, squelching competition and driving up prices for fans through threats, retaliation, and other tactics in order to suffocate the competition by controlling virtually every aspect of the industry, from concert promotion to the actual venues getting artists, all the way to ticketing as well. They did every aspect of that. The companies insist that artists, sports teams, and venues actually set prices and decide how tickets are sold. Not the case, but they can insist it, right? The government lawyers wrote that the statement should be part of the trial because they are candid internal messages in which one person, his name is Ben Baker, he calls fans, quote, so stupid, as I told you. He explains that he, quote, gouges them, and he even brags that Live Nation is, quote, robbing them blind, baby. Yeah, meaning us consumers. In the submission to the judge, the lawyers noted that Baker made these statements while he was a regional director of ticketing with responsibility for a large amphitheater in Florida. He has since been promoted to head of ticketing for Venue Nation with responsibilities related to all the Live Nation's venues. This is the evil person they have running the ticketing side of Live Nation, folks. They say the employees were discussing Live Nation's price for access to the VP area of a show at a Mid-Florida Credit Union amphitheater, which is in Tampa. And then Baker wrote that the prices are, quote, outrageous, unquote. And he also said that, quote, these people are so stupid, unquote, and that I, quote, almost feel bad for taking advantage of them. He wrote those in emails, folks. If it doesn't show you the type of people Live Nation hires, promotes, all to rip you off. We just talked about insurance companies being out there for greed and profit. Live Nation, Ticketmaster on side of it, right? And you have to pay these rip-off fees and everything, and they literally are mocking you through emails. But if you want to go to an event, you have to pay for it. You have to. They have the stranglehold on it, and insurance companies and now ticketing needs to be changed here as well moving forward. And this host is minor opinion out there. And now we got an update here. Finally, maybe NASA has cleared the moon rocket for Thursday, or they did it. They cleared it on Thursday. It's going to be an April launch here with those 4 astronauts to go around the moon as this mission. They did complete the latest round of repairs on the rocket. Well, the rocket will roll out of the hangar and back to the pad next week at Florida's Kennedy Space Center which means that the launch attempt as early as April 1st is possibly coming our way. It'll mark humanity's first trip to the moon in more than 50 years. And they're just going to orbit it and then come right back. They're not actually making a stop there. This is the Artemis 2, and that crew, well, it should have blasted off on a lunar fly around earlier this year. Fuel leaks, other problems with the Space Launch System obviously delayed that launch at that time. NASA has managed to plug the hydrogen fuel leaks in the pad in February. A helium flow issue forced the space agency to return the rocket to the vehicle assembly building for those repairs, which means now we're going to possibly have a launch coming up in early April. The problem is you have such limited windows to launch. NASA only has 6 days at the beginning of April to launch before standing down until April 30th into early May. They have a slight window here coming up at the beginning of April. If it doesn't go, we're looking at end of April, beginning of May at that point. And man, just a lot of issues on this thing. God bless those astronauts that want to get in something with this many issues. Hey, when we come back here at McCollum on Business on this Friday edition, we'll keep it rolling. Market's been open for about a year, or about an hour now. Feels like a year that the space shuttle that was supposed to launch there, the Artemis 2. But market's been open for about an hour now. We'll get back into that. Is it still up here on this Friday? Even though like the S&P is going to have a down week again, third week in a row. At least are we up on this Friday? We'll get you updated on that. Of course, stocks are paying too. We're going to look at some crypto stocks out there. And then, of course, local stories coming your way, Lucid. And then, of course, the story about the McDonald's overlords giving you a break here coming up, folks. We'll talk about that as well. Come on back. McCollum on Business. And back here, McCollum on Business Friday edition. I just noticed it's Friday the 13th today, folks, as well. So have a good luck day out there, no doubt about that. Let's keep it positive here on this Friday the 13th. And you just saw right there the commercial for The Real Matrix. Well, today, 10 o'clock here at Robot TV, new episode comes out. It's another edition there of the Plandemic episodes. There was one last week, and a little follow-up here today as well on that Plandemic for The Angry Patriot. Tune into that 10 a.m. here at Robot TV. If you rather watch it on the visual forms there on Rumble, check that out here as well. That'll post at noon, along with the other 20 episodes that are out right now. They're on Rumble. Don't forget that show's on Rumble. And then, as I told you again, on Rumble. And then, of course, you've got the free podcasting system for those of you that listen to that show. We see you out there on those recordings. Of course, just search The Real Matrix, Angry Patriot. It'll come right up for you on your favorite podcast system, Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeart, all of them. Search The Real Matrix, Angry Patriot. At noon today on Rumble and podcast here at Robot TV at 10 a.m. here on this Friday. Of course, as soon as we're done here, we get McCollum on Business up on demand, Robat TV, and on the production YouTube page as well. TME Media AZ on YouTube is what you can search for. You can search for the shows as well. It'll pop right up for you. Of course, we put the pit stop, which is out for this week. We look back to Phoenix. We looked ahead to Las Vegas this week. That is up on the YouTube page. This will get up on the YouTube page. The main event here when we get done. Bruce Cooper is coming in today as well. Couldn't make it in on Tuesday due to a conflict. Well, he's coming in today to talk local sports coming up as well on the YouTube page later on today. And of course, the main event. Follow them at TME Sports Show on X for the social media side of it. And then, of course, catch it on the free podcasting systems. Just search either TME Sports Show or the main event with Steven or the main event with Dale. It'll pop right up for you. And then the pit stop. Follow that on X as well, the Pit Stop Talk. And then, of course, our local, podcast system as well. Just search the Pit Stop with Steven. It'll come right up on your favorite podcast system. The show came out on Wednesday, so get out there and catch up on the racing weekend. IndyCar's in Arlington, and NASCAR's up in Las Vegas. Truck Series off this weekend. Everybody gets underway next week at Darlington there for NASCAR as well. So, folks, with all that being said, let's get right back into the Market Watch. And look, it's a Friday and a good Friday out there. The Dow Jones right now is up 230 points. 215 points, it looks like there, if I can read. No, it's 230 points. Golly, I can't see today. I apologize, folks. S&P 500 is up 30 points right now. The Nasdaq's up 135. Russell 2K's up 17 points. And then Bitcoin up 4.82% here today. And it's above 70,000. As a matter of fact, it's almost pushing 74,000 right now. Of course, yesterday was at 69,000 when we looked at them here during the show. And what that means is we're going to look at crypto stocks right now. Crypto stocks are kind of tied to cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin. First one we're going to look at is Strategy out there. Well, with Bitcoin being up big today, so is Strategy, 5.11% right now for them. Then there's Coinbase, who's also up today with Bitcoin running up. Coinbase is the next stock. They're up. Last time I saw, they were up about 3%, so 2.90% right now. And then a company called Mara Holdings also is up today, 7.99% for this. So basically, any company, there's Hut 8 is up today. There's a bunch of companies that obviously are tied to the cryptocurrencies, all up with this big run up here today of 4.83% right now on Bitcoin as well. Out there. So, look, we're ending just a tumultuous couple weeks here on a positive note here, at least here on this Friday as well. Let's get into a couple, local stories. And by local, I know Lucid's a Bay Area company up there in California, but, of course, the plant down in Casa Grande area there. Lucid had an investor day yesterday as well in New York. Well, Lucid outlined the key technical and strategic elements of its upcoming mid-size platform. They even revealed its next-generation Atlas electric drive unit. Lucid has previewed planned software and technology updates in New York yesterday, which does include an in-vehicle AI assistant and its autonomy roadmap that they have coming out. It also reinforced its strategy to monetize software and services as Lucid continues to scale up here in the United States market. Lucid highlighted continued advancement of its strategic relationship there with Uber. Remember, they're making some of those autonomous vehicles there for Uber to get out into the marketplace. Both those companies, Uber and Lucid, are finalizing an agreement to deploy Lucid mid-size platform vehicles at a scale similar to the Gravity Robo-Taxi program. The intention, of course, is to increase the volume of those robo-taxis over time. Lucid also introduced something called Lunar. It's a purpose-built two-seat robo-taxi concept. It's based on that mid-size platform. It's designed to maximize efficiency, utilization, and even lifetime operating economics. You see that actually on your screen right now as well. Lunar is in the concept phase. They talked a lot about it yesterday in their investor days there in New York. But Lunar does highlight the potential of the company's mid-sized platform in order to support those future autonomous and commercial applications, for the future stuff, even though it's 2026. Here in 2026, the company is focused on further scaling Lucid Gravity. That's expanding its global commercial reach of Gravity, advancing software offerings and services, accelerating material costs, and even manufacturing efficiency initiatives, which of course would help down there at their plant in Casa Grande as well. But Lucid focused a lot, and they talked a lot about maintaining their capital allocation and being strict with that on that discipline because they need to shorten the path to positive free cash flow. As we all know, when you're in those big business, when you're in those startup businesses and things, cash flow goes quickly at that point when you're coming up with all these designs and production stuff and testing out there. So Lucid Investor Day, we'll see. We know they're doing a bunch of layoffs, but we know none will affect down there in Casa Grande. But Lucid continuing to fight here to keep getting the word out about them and moving forward as well. And then up here in the valley, Prop 479. If you voted for this, well, it passed. Even if you didn't, it's that continuation of that existing dedicated half-cent sales tax in Maricopa County, and it's to fund specifically transportation costs and things to improve transportation. The half-cent sales tax, if you don't know, was first established by voters back in 1985. Back then, it was called Proposition 300. It was renewed in 2004. That was Proposition 400 at that time. And then 2 years ago, I think it was 2024, voters approved Prop 479 now, extending that tax, half cent tax, to 2045 is what we're looking at now. So they went out there, and what they're focusing on is the site of the first major project of Proposition 479. They did a big groundbreaking there this week. This is out there at the Loop 303 and I-17 system interchange. What's up there, folks? Yes, Taiwan Semiconductor is right up in that area as well. The official groundbreaking ceremony has occurred, and work on the interchange is officially underway. It's expected to take 2.5 years to actually get it completed. So under this Prop 479, future planned improvements over the next 20 years now, obviously, the first one here is the 303 I-17 interchange. But things they have planned already, 331 new freeway highway lane miles, whether expansion or creating new ones. 134 new HOV lane miles to be included in that as well. 1,000 new or improved arterial lane miles. And then which means in cities, et cetera, off the highways. Expanded and improved bus service across the region. All part of right now in the plans for that funding of Prop 479. But at least if you're up there in North Phoenix or you go to Taiwan Semiconductor, you live up in that Deer Valley area, well, look for some construction coming your way for 2.5 years before that finally gets all done. And look, the other thing is in terms of sports, but here in the Valley, it's a sport event. It's growing and it brings a lot to our economy here. We all know about the Waste Management Phoenix Open for the men out there at the end of January. Well, the third Ford Championship is going to be played at Whirlwind Golf Club on the Gila River Indian community down there was it I-10 down south of town. It's coming up here, March 26th through 29th. It is the second year of the third year of this event, but the second year the event will be played down there at Whirlwind. The LPGA is making the event bigger than last year, and the expectation is more people are going to show up this year. It was a lot of people there last year when I stopped by for a day and caught the event. This year, the Ford Championship will be building seating and hospitality events around holes 14, 15, 16, 17, even 18 coming up. They haven't said that they want to be the women's side of the waste management, but you can tell where they want to head to on this. Around the 16th hole, there's a luxury hospitality venue. That's the Trophy Club there. It's selling weekly and daily passes. It includes food, open bar, TVs, private restrooms, even a live DJ there as well. giving it a similar vibe, of course, to the whole 16 at the Waste Management Open. Based off the success of last year's event, the demand for the extended hospitality amenities, even the lineup of players has increased. The field already includes 9 of the top 10 players in the world playing in this tournament here in another a week or so. Tournament leaders do say the Ford Championship will be one of the best attended events on the LPGA Tour for the entire year. The Ford Championship has a relationship with the Thunderbirds, who, of course, host and run the Waste Management Phoenix Open. 2 years ago, the Thunderbirds signed on as a sponsor for the LPGA event. Thunderbirds are helping them out as well with funds. The Ford Championship purse, thanks to the Thunderbirds, was raised to $2.25 million. Was it $2 million before that? The LPGA is expected to pay out record amounts at tournaments here, completely all tournaments in 2026. So the purse is getting larger here for the LPGA as well. Big sponsors are on board. Obviously, Gila River Resorts and Casinos is a big sponsor down there as it's based and it works there at the Whirlwind course. But Ford obviously is hugely involved with this when it's called the Ford Championships. Tempe Diablos all increased. They also increased their support for this year's event. They're going to hold more promotions, fan activations out there on the course. Ford has extended its partnership from being from just being out there. Now they're the official vehicle of the LPGA Tour as a whole. This event will be more visible around the country because the deal the LPGA signed this year. It's going to be broadcasted every round of the Ford Championship and all other LPGA Tour events, either on the Golf Channel or on CNBC this year. That's 90% of it is just getting access to television to watch these women golfers out there as well. So fans have a lot more options down there this year. The Ford Championship, though, is adding more perks for players this year as well. Every player gets a Ford vehicle to drive around during tournament week. Ford will be hosting a series of events, including the launch of its rookie mentoring program for young LPGA Tour players at the Arizona, down there at the Whirlwind tournament as well. So perks for players way up, perks for the fans way up. Gosh, we're a week or two, about a week and a half away here from that tournament, or 2 weeks away from that tournament kicking off there at Whirlwind. Last year, I went, I believe it was on a Friday. Fantastic event out there, and was actually in the Trophy Club, and it was a fantastic environment watching the golfers hit the balls. And we'll see what they do this year. And a lot of crowd out there, big crowds out there on Friday of last year. They're expecting a bigger one here coming up. And folks, the overlords of McDonald's have spoken. They put out an internal message to franchisees, and McDonald's has now announced to those franchisees a sweeping McValue 2.0. Yes, this initiative is set to launch in April. It features $3 items and $4 meal deals designed to lure back lower income consumers. Of course, they have pulled back on spending because of the high living cost and, quite frankly, the high McDonald's cost for their items out there. The new menu items will replace the previous buy one, add one promotions. Customers can soon pay $3 or less on items including 4-piece chicken McNuggets, sausage biscuit, $4 for breakfast meal deals with a McMuffin sandwich, hash brown, and a coffee for that $4 as well. Last year, McDonald's capitalized on that $5 meal deal. Remember when they said, let them eat cheaper food? The $5 meal deal. They also capitalized on things like various holiday promotions. Even the revival of the Monopoly game came out last year. Hugely successful for McDonald's. They from bringing all those into their program. The strategy appeared to work because U.S. sales rose 6.8% in the fourth quarter. That's the biggest jump for McDonald's in about 2 years. Lower priced offers and aggressive promotions drove traffic back into those McDonald's restaurants. Analysts had only expected a 4.9% gain, and that they factored in those changes as well. So McDonald's has determined, and we've showed you before, McDonald's started its price gouging and price raising before the COVID pandemic and before inflation happened. They started that then, and they just got pricey. I know the number one meal when it was a $5, it was $5 when they had the $5 value meal. They discontinue it. Now it's $6.49 again. I know because we stopped there this morning. But it's like $1.50 more. The overlords of McDonald's are like, let's give them something to keep the peasants happy. Folks, it's Friday. I'm a little loopy. It's 7:45. We're going to roll into the main event here in about 15 minutes. Come and join us there. Of course, Real Matrix, 10 o'clock here on Robat, at noon on your favorite podcast system, and on Rumble as well, for those of you on Rumble. Rumble/user/TME Media. It'll pop right up for you. We'll be back on Monday, of course, here, 7 a.m. Get you caught up over the weekend, and we'll see what craziness happens over the weekend around the business world and what's affected by what's happening on the government side of things. Folks, have a great weekend. Stay cool out there. We'll see you on Monday.